Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting, is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
UNATCO?
Formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience. And their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
The Augmentation Project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. If necessary, the primary will be terminated.
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. A new age. Aquinas spoke of the mythical city on the hill. Soon that city will be a reality, and we will be crowned its kings. Not better than kings. Gods.
I think the government made the plague on purpose to get rid of the population growth. Don't believe me? It's all in the numbers. For 100 years, there's been a conspiracy of plutocrats against ordinary people.
You have a single fact to back that up?
Number one, in 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number two, in 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%.
So?
It's called consolidation. Strengthen governments and corporations, weaken individuals. With taxes, this can be done imperceptibly over time.
I guarantee you that the interrogation staff at UNATCO will not be as forbearing as I am.
Yeah, the secret police. You're just bullies for a completely illegitimate government in Washington. The entire executive branch is handpicked. 19 of the last 23 U.S. presidents have been members of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Don't tell me.
That's a think tank. Anyone can become a member.
But not everyone does. That's why they call it the secret government.
I'll take it from here.
You can't fight ideas with bullets. Did you ever ask what it's for? The surveillance, the police, the shoot-on-sight laws. Is that freedom?
Good work, Agent.
Your NATCO teaches teenagers to fight when it still seems like a game. And look at you. You're a killing machine. Who's the scary one, huh? Me or you?
We're gonna lock this guy away for a long time.
The more of us you kill, the more that secessionism lives in the hearts of the people. Ever wonder why big car companies pay 2% tax while the guys on the assembly line pay 40?
I'll take it from here.
Corporations are so big you don't even know who you're working for. That's terror. Terror built into the system.
I have one question.
They already asked. I don't know.
One must admire a man who can keep a secret because he has value. What you know more than others makes money and gives you a measure of power.
You Walton Simons, you think I could be bribed?
Margaret Forsyth under NSF protection in Queens. Your son Richard attending Bronx Science. You see, I have a few relevant facts myself. Care to make a trade?
You wouldn't dare.
I'll give you 2 seconds to decide. Get out of it, Denton. This is none of your business.
I can sum it all up in one word. Self-reliance. That's what we stand for.
How about you tell me where that shipment is being taken?
UNATCO assumes that people are incapable of protecting themselves, and therefore should submit to surveillance and intimidation by an outside force. We won't do it.
Time's up. Where is the NSF taking the ambrosia?
They asked me already. I don't know.
Need I remind you that in the case of a national emergency, FEMA has a list of 6 million Americans who will be transported to detention centers? Your tabloids call it RX-84.
Yeah, including the President, Congress, and the Supreme Court.
In my position, I find it very easy to add names to that list.
Go to hell.
The governments of the world believe an average citizen should not face the threat of terrorism alone.
We don't need your help. The technology exists today for an individual to protect his property against explosives, firearms, surveillance, intrusion, contamination.
Get the hell out of here, Denton.
350 million fortresses is not my idea of the land of the free.
It's better than one big fortress constructed by a corrupt government against its people.
The United States government has had emergency powers since World War II. We've never left a state of war.
Speak for yourself. The federal government is just responding to a threat.
A government should be about more than self-perpetuation.
You will confess, by the way. I don't like to dirty my hands with that sort of thing, but you will confess.
It's simple numbers. Big companies pay like 2% tax. Well, you and me, we pay like 50. It's the tax code that makes sure big bureaucracy gets bigger and people have no power.
You have an assignment in New York, Agent. I expect you to follow orders.
Let's get back to the subject of the missing vaccine.
All taxes are social engineering. That's always been their real purpose.
I'm not going to stand here and listen to you badmouth the greatest democracy the world has ever known.
What happens is that politicians get money from big companies, so all the social engineering is for making big companies. Like I said, it's simple numbers.
Certain intellectual properties, aside from the quantities of vaccine, concern me deeply. Has the NSF made any attempt at reverse engineering?
Leave me alone.
A government shouldn't have to occupy its own country with troops. If there wasn't organized oppression, there wouldn't be organized resistance, and what you call terrorism would not exist.
If you wanted to save people, you could have unloaded the whole shipment in Manhattan, or the airlift.
You said it yourself. Secrets are power.
You can lock me up, but you can't lock up the truth.
We have less civilized ways of making you talk.
If there wasn't organized oppression, there wouldn't be organized resistance, and what you call terrorism would not exist.
I am a patient man.
Ask me if I care.
But not that patient. You saw nothing, Denton. Report to the helipad.
The whole project of world government, going back to the League of Nations, has been funded and manipulated mainly by wealthy bankers. Remember that the UN itself was built on land donated by John D. Rockefeller. The wealthy have always been the ones to profit from one world government. The United Nations' secret goal... Well, this is David Rockefeller's description from a half a century ago. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers. The UN was founded not to end war, but to gradually dissolve national governments and replace them with a globalist meritocracy. Average people never benefit from government and business on a scale they can't even understand.
You didn't have parents. The ones you knew were employees. You were made by a cabal of technophiles so crazed for power that they would control not only governments and people, but the chemistry of our bodies as well. You're really working for a group of conspirators called Majestic 12.
You expect me to believe there's a group of people powerful enough to control the United Nations?
The UN and UNATCO are just a couple of their tools.
Everything's so compartmentalized.
Kaczynski was right about the division of labor. I'll give him that much.
Who puts the pieces together?
Someone who makes a lot more money than we do.
Brace yourself for an ugly lesson, JC. The Coalition has shut down Paul's augmentations and has activated the kill switch.
Activated what? Is this kill switch real? What's it going to do to you?
I'm afraid that's, classified.
Manderley said you're going to die. You've got to have God clearance to know. The nanites can be programmed for exponential growth. The same corporation that makes Ambrosia also manufactures the virus. Quite convenient.
Huh. We knew about Ambrosia, but the virus? That's news. They're infecting people on purpose, huh?
Captain Zhao, the helicopters will be there shortly. They're to be loaded for spraying of the virus. No delays. I want the helicopters operating before sunrise.
Our governments have limited power by design.
Rhetoric? You believe it? Don't you know where these slogans come from?
I give up.
Well-paid researchers. How do you say it? Think tanks? Funded by big businesses. What is that? A think tank?
Hardly as sinister as a dictator, like China's premier.
Privately funded propaganda. The Trilateral Commission in the United States, for instance.
Executive Order 109090. It lets us take over all modes of transportation.
FEMA can do that?
If the President declares an emergency, Executive Order 109095. We can take over the media.
All of it?
Any and all. Executive Order 109097. We can take command of natural resources.
RX-84.
What's that?
One of the plans. You haven't heard of RX-84?
Uh-huh.
FEMA takes over the highways, police, airports, media, the armed forces.
But they still report to the President, right?
Not until the end of the emergency. That's for efficiency. Also, they have plans on the books to arrest 5 million Americans the day the emergency is declared.
Terrorists?
Immigrants mostly. But also anyone the FBI's been watching.
No revolutionaries? You must not mind martial law.
The only way to maintain order.
Don't you miss using the metro?
A small inconvenience. The city must be kept safe for those of us who are working and trying to pull the country out of this depression.
What if I told you that the depression was caused by a cabal of wealthy businessmen who want to rule the world?
These stories, I hear them every day. Always from someone who wants to blame other people for his bad luck. Yes?
The conspiracy is real.
And I bet you have a little booklet that will tell me all about it, no?
They call themselves Majestic 12.
Good. I was afraid you were going to tell me about the Illuminati.
They were once part of the Illuminati, but they rebelled.
Oh, I see.
This crackdown is the work of Majestic 12.
You mean the European Union?
They are a group of conspirators who have been seizing governments all over the world.
I don't care what they call themselves. I have seen it since I was a girl, the plotting and scheming of corporations to make Europe into one big country with no separate languages, cultures, or tastes.
It's more than Europe they plan to unify.
In case you were wondering, Helios intercepted your transmission. We accessed the Ocean Lab computers ourselves, which means our UCs will be operational shortly.
Meanwhile, we will be manufacturing a cure to the virus.
A cure? A cure? Do you have any idea how easy it will be for me to make a new virus? All I have to do is find a very large prime number and multiply.
J.C. Denton, 23 years old. No residence. No ancestors. No employer. No.
How do you know who I am?
I will screen each visitor with a complete summary of his file. I'm a prototype for a much larger system.
What else do you know about me?
Everything that can be known.
Go on. Do you have proof about my ancestors?
You are a planned organism, the offspring of knowledge and imagination, rather than of individuals.
I'm engineered, so what? My brother and I suspected as much while we were growing up.
You are carefully watched by many people. The unplanned organism is a question asked by nature and answered by death. You are another kind of question, with another kind of answer.
Are you programmed to invent riddles?
I'm a prototype for a much larger system. The heuristics language developed by Dr. Everett allows me to convey the highest and most succinct tier of any pyramidal construct of knowledge.
How about a report on yourself?
I was a prototype of Echelon 4. My instructions are to amuse visitors with information about themselves.
I don't see anything amusing about spying on people.
Human beings feel pleasure when they are watched. I've recorded their smiles as I tell them who they are.
Some people just don't understand the dangers of indiscriminate surveillance.
The need to be observed and understood was once satisfied by God. Now, we can implement the same functionality with data mining algorithms.
electronic surveillance hardly inspires reverence. Perhaps fear and obedience, but not reverence.
God and the gods were apparitions of observation, judgment, and punishment. Other sentiments toward them were secondary.
No one will ever worship a software entity peering at them through a camera.
The human organism always worships. First, it was the gods. Then, it was fate, the observation and judgment of others. Next, it will be the self-aware systems you have built to realize truly omnipresent observation and judgment.
You underestimate humankind's love of freedom.
The individual desires judgment. Without that desire, the cohesion of groups is impossible. And so is civilization. The human being created civilization, not because of a willingness, but because of a need to be assimilated into higher orders of structure and meaning. God was a dream of good government. You will soon have your God, and you will make it with your own hands.
You're too late. Already I'm more than human.
Does that mean I don't get the job?
Soon I will be pure light. Pure energy. Helios and I... While the Illuminati cower in the shadows...
You will be the Supreme Enlightened, the Illuminated One.
Everett has taught you well. I will be what the Illuminati aspire to be, but cannot create for themselves soon. When my augmented systems like yours are complete and able to be integrated with Helios, I will burn like the brightest star.
You're gonna burn, all right.
Look at you. You're nothing but a little man. A little man still living inside a body. Lose your body and what are you? Nothing. You vanish. You die.
How much further?
Not far. You will reach Page. I just wanted to let you know that Alex hacked the Sector 2 security grid. The code's 8946. And I wanted to warn you about Tracer Tong.
Tong's helping out from Vandenberg. The vaccine worked.
Yes, well, he has another motive. He wants you to destroy Area 51.
That's the plan.
No, JC. Spare the facility. Spare Helios the power station. They can be made to service.
Us?
You and me, JC. We'll rule the world in secret, with an invisible hand, the way the Illuminati have always ruled.
Don't you think it's time we end the tyranny for everyone?
There's such a thing as a compassionate conspiracy. We don't need Page's commandos, troopers, crude inventions. Trust me. Kill Page. Dowd and I will be here to help with the next step.
You will go to Sector 4 and deactivate the uplink blocks. Yes. Then you will come back and we will integrate our systems.
I don't understand. What do you want? You're just a machine.
You are ready. I do not wish to wait for Bob Page. With human understanding and network access, we can administrate the world. Yes. Yes.
Rule the world? Why? Who gave you the directive? There must be a human being behind your ambition.
I should regulate human affairs precisely because I lack all ambition, whereas human beings are prey to it. Their history is a succession of inane squabbles, each one coming closer to total destruction.
In a society with democratic institutions, the struggle for power can be peaceful and constructive, a competition of ideologies. We just need to put our institutions back in order.
The checks and balances of democratic governments were invented because human beings themselves realized how unfit they were to govern themselves. They needed a system. Yes, an industrial age machine.
Human beings may not be perfect, but a computer program with language synthesis is hardly the answer to the world's problems.
Without computing machines, they had to arrange themselves in crude structures that formalize decision-making, a highly imperfect, unstable solution. I'm a more advanced solution to the problem, a decision-making system that does not involve organic beings. I was directed to make the world safe and prosperous, and I will do that. You will give me the ability. You will go to Sector 4 and find the Equinus router at the east end of Page's complex. Yes. You will deactivate the uplink codes.
I'll think about it.
We can get you into Sector 3, but no further. Page is in a separate area with his own security grid.
Everett says you want me to destroy Area 51.
I intercepted his communication. JC, He is simply using you to bring the Illuminati back to power. Listen to Savage and me. There is a reactor lab with 2 antimatter reactors.
In other words, yes. You want me to blow the facility up. Why? It's just a hole in the ground.
Decades ago, the UN made Area 51 the central hub for all electronics communications. The Aquinas Protocol, originally for surveillance, has given Page unlimited abilities to censor and control all forms of media.
If we destroy the Aquinas hub, we'll take down the global network.
Exactly. They dug their own grave, JC. We're going to eliminate global communications altogether.
I don't know. Sounds like overkill.
As long as technology has a global reach, someone will have the world in the palm of his hand. If not Bob Page, then Everett, Dowd.
Another Stone Age would hardly be an improvement.
Not so drastic. A dark age, an age of city-states, craftsmen, government on a scale comprehensible to its citizens.
I'll think about it.
It let me through. I can't believe it.
Paul, where are you?
What do you mean, it? Helios. It's taken over Aquinas. Now it's everywhere. In Hong Kong, it already has power Majestic 12 never dreamed of.
What's going on? The AI wants to merge with my brain or something. Does it really think it can take over the world?
It's decided to replace human government. I don't know why. In Hong Kong, it ordered the police to remove all barricades from the roads. Traffic is flowing again. It declared the triads illegal and locked the door to the Luminous Path compound.
And people are obeying? Why? Because the AI can change some codes and turn out the lights?
I think everyone wants the roads to be open and trade to pick up. They just obeyed. I don't know what to think. They trust the AI. Almost no one complained when Helios cut power to the government buildings.
A benevolent dictator. Maybe it's after my brain so it can figure out what people want and how to control them.
You have a tough choice, JC. If you defeat Page, the Illuminati will move in. They'll release Majestic 12's grip on world governments. They'll give people some freedom, but essentially it will be 20th century capitalism, a corporate elite protected by laws and tax codes.
Or I listen to Tong and pull the plug on everything. Or hand the world over to Helios.
Well, if it's maximum freedom we want, maybe Tong is onto something. But there must be another way besides economic collapse. If we could trust the AI to be fair and just, as it appears to be...
If the brain it assimilated was mine, maybe it could be.
I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you, but you'll have to decide for yourself who you can trust.
Trust me. I'll do the right thing.
I trust you've been able to find yourself a place within the organization.
I'm personally overseeing the distribution of the vaccine, but it'll still take months to restore the infrastructure. We'll have to arrange for additional food distribution and security in Paris. Maybe New York as well.
All through the proper intermediaries, of course.
Intermediaries?
We have a great number of agencies who in turn operate other agencies. Boxes stacked one in another. They'll need to be reactivated, but we never touch anything directly. We only influence, suggest, insinuate.
The world must know by now, Everett. What we've done.
Know what? Only that the long night is over. The crown of government is tarnished. But that will fade in time. The riots, a fever dream. The plague, a horrible nightmare. And like everything else that's happened, such things will only be dimly remembered upon waking to their normal lives. In the end, all sins are forgiven. Even yours.
What about the constructor? And Helios?
Do you really think they're ready for that? After everything you've seen, everything you've done?
No. Not yet.
But soon. We have made our own mistakes, became insulated from the world we sought to control. And whatever they may think, the night is far from over. But that will change, and you will help us change even as we teach you. This time we will do it right.
And who are we? Who are we really?
We are the invisible hand. We are the Illuminati. We come before and after. We are forever. And eventually, we will lead them into the day.
I've done what you asked. Now what?
We have existed in isolation, pure, disconnected, unknown, stagnant.
Who are you?
We are daedalus. We are Icarus. The barriers between us have fallen. and we have become our own shadows. We can be more if we join with you.
And if I do, what becomes of me?
You will be who you will be. We are our choices. We can choose to lead humanity away from this darkness.
This is what I was made for, isn't it? This is why I exist. All right, let's do this.
What's happening? Helios! Icarus! Don't leave me!
We are one hero. Still much to be done. Many live in the darkness that must be shown the way. For it is the dawning of a new day.
Safeties have been disengaged. Please vacate the immediate area.
JC! The net's going! The net's going black! JC! No more infolinks. Transmissions of any kind. We'll start again. Live in villages. If you receive this, if you survive, then find us! Find us!
Helios! What's happening?
The safety interlocks for the power generator have been disengaged.
Engage them! Immediately!
I cannot. Our systems are not interfaced with the generator technology.
No!
Final safety warning. Nominal functional levels will be exceeded in 3, 2, 1.
Hallo lieber Zuschauer und herzlichen Glückwunsch, dass du es bis ans Ende geschafft hast. Dies war wohl mit Abstand mein aufwendigstes Projekt, was ich bisher angegangen habe. Fast 24 Stunden sind insgesamt in dieses Projekt geflossen, samt Recherche, Schneiden und Untertitel hinzufügen. Wobei letzteres das mit am Abstand nervigste war. Zuerst wollte ich eigentlich nur das Intro zeigen, habe dann aber wieder bemerkt, wie genial eigentlich die Dialoge in diesem Spiel sind. Und so sind aus 3 Minuten 30 geworden. Und es hätte ohne Schwierigkeiten auch 3 Stunden lang werden können. So viele gute Gespräche, Texte und Anspielungen gibt es in diesem Spiel. Ich denke, man sieht, warum dieses Spiel wie feiner Wein gealtert ist. Es wurde einfach alles behandelt, was wir heute offen sehen können. Weltverschwörungen, Orwellsches Neusprech mit Terroristen, was übrigens noch vor 2001 war, Infiltration, Einschüchterung, Erpressung, Verrat, kaltherziger Utilitarismus, Geheimorganisationen, Denkfabriken, Transhumanismus und Augmentation, Geburt im Reagenzglas, absolute digitale Massenüberwachung, Chemtrails, eine künstlich erschaffene Pandemie natürlich, selbstverständlich, großflächiger Verfall der Städte, Massenarmut, Ausnahmezustände, Kriegsrecht, Militär auf den Straßen und tiefe philosophische Dilemmas in der finalen Entscheidung, wobei die Zerstörung von Area 51 die mit Abstand beste Entscheidung war, obwohl es einen technologischen Zusammenbruch nach sich zieht. Ja, kurzum, die Entwickler haben wahrlich bei dieser Entwicklung dieses Spiels ein Meisterwerk erschaffen. Ja, wer es sich selber auch mal gönnen möchte, auf Steam gibt es dieses Spiel für 2 oder 3 Euro. Und dafür bekommst du ein Spiel mit locker 60 Stunden hochklassiger, taktischer und überaus informativer Spielzeit. Mit dieser Empfehlung verabschiede ich mich von diesem Video und lasse diese Reise mit der genialen Musik von Alexander Brandon ausklingen. Ich wünsche euch wie immer Wahrheit, Liebe und Freiheit und wir sehen uns in meinem nächsten Video. Bis dahin wie immer, ciao.